everybody and welcome to For Real. It's Wednesday yet again, so that means it's time for this week's News Moto. Before we get started, could I please impose on you to like, subscribe, comment and share our videos? Doing these simple things really helps us to get more people watching. The more people that watch means the more money that YouTube pays to us. All the money we make from YouTube will be donated to charities here in Cambodia. Every last cent. We've just donated our July earnings to Reach, which is a charity in Siem Reap providing emergency support to families doing it really tough up there. That donation of $200 takes the total amount we've donated to $473 or $650 in the Aussie money. It's not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but everything helps. In the description of this video, you can see the amounts and the charities that we've donated to, and we'll always be absolutely transparent about that. We don't want your money, honey, we just want a little bit of your time. And since you're already here, let's get started. Today is Wednesday, the 18th of August. Cambodia's daily COVID case numbers have been a little higher lately due to the reopening of the border with Thailand on Friday, but there's also been a lot of good news lately. Cambodia today announced 593 new cases, and that brought the grand total to 87,190. 189 of those cases were attributed to Cambodians crossing the border from Thailand. Due to the rise in Delta cases, face masks must now be worn in every province. 8 provinces already had this in place, but the other 15 were added earlier this week. The borders have been reopened for Cambodian workers to return from Thailand, as we mentioned before. As expected, a large number of returning Cambodians have tested positive for COVID. Some reports say up to 20% are positive. Pailin City has taken the extraordinary step of classifying all returning migrant workers from Thailand as either carriers of the Delta variant or already infected with it. This extreme measure, though criticised by some, is strongly defended by the governor. She said, once it is established that they are not Delta infected or carriers, we segregate them while those with Delta variants are isolated and treated at the specialised wing of the treatment centre. The treatment centre currently houses a total of 249 patients, of whom 34 are in a critical condition, while another 6 are on life support with ventilators and oxygen. The governor also said we must prevent the spread of the Delta variant at all costs, and that is why migrant workers are quarantined for up to 21 days, even if they were to test negative repeatedly during the first 14 days. All provincial officials are also mandated to undergo rapid tests every 72 hours. This may be the biggest test against the spread of the Delta variant, so if you're in Cambodia, remember to do your part and get vaccinated, wear a mask and social distance as much as you possibly can. According to authorities, almost 20,000 people have been detained in the last 2 weeks for flouting curfew and restriction measures. Of those 20,000, 18,495 people were educated, 917 were fined, and 51 were sent to court. In total, more than 500 million reals in fines were issued and 5 businesses were closed. 3,370 vehicles and 5,061 motorcycles were also seized. The percentage of vehicles thought to be Toyota Camrys rests at around 98%. Some are saying that the government has a vested interest in getting those cars off the roads. If money is no problem for you, Cambodia is upping the quarantine hotel experience. Sofitel Phnom Penh now joins the Sokhar, the Courtyard by Marriott, and the Raffles Hotel as ASQ accredited hotels. Sofitel promises quarantine style, living the French way. It also offers a number of different packages for those wishing to choose their quarantine accommodation. A standard 14 days quarantine starts at $2,980 for one person and $4,020 for 2 people in a superior room. The Prestige Suite will set you back a sweet $4,660 for one person and $6,430 for 2 people. What do you get for that kind of money, you might ask? Well, the package includes daily breakfast, lunch and dinner, 10% off other food and beverage that you might want to order, laundry services, 2 COVID-19 PCR tests, green surroundings and a peaceful atmosphere, airport transfers, natural ventilation, medical assistance at the hotel, and all in all a very pleasant experience, I would imagine. If you had the money, this would make it slightly less stressful. You could probably also afford to add a bottle of bubbles, darling. But we aren't in Kansas anymore. The Battambang Provincial Court has placed a man in pre-trial detention in connection with the alleged murder of his mother with a homemade gun. The suspect is a known drug addict, and he lost control of himself because of his addiction and shot his 62-year-old mother. After shooting his mother, the suspect fled and hid in his house nearby. However, police found him after a girl who stayed with the victim ran to tell his father. The suspect said he had shot his mother because he thought she was a witch. He cannot live with her, and that's why he killed her. Looks like he's going to be in for a long spell in prison. Now for some more magic tricks. The Phnom Penh Municipal Court yesterday charged a businesswoman with making $3.5 million disappear from a wholesale import business. Two of the woman's female family members had invested a total of $3,583,422 in the company and are now suing the suspect. Unfortunately, due to COVID, the seafood and fruit business tanked and the business went under. It also spoilt their friendship. What a rotten thing to do. Now to Kinal province, where authorities have apprehended a 32-year-old truck driver accused of dumping dirt on the road. The suspect dumped dirt on the road, causing traffic congestion, and then he fled. He did this because he was enraged and dirty at police officers who tried to impound his truck for overloading. In Siem Reap, I think no one would have even noticed. And now from dirty roads to dirty cops. Baset district suspended their police chief for corruptly getting money from gamblers and allowing them to gamble illegally. He even allowed his own subordinates to gamble in the district police station. He was suspended after 31 top police officers and commune chiefs filed complaints against him to the Minister of Interior. A captain in the Baset District Police Department said that ever since the Major became the district police chief in 2018, he has never done any good work or achieved anything for the district police unit except to receive warning letters from superiors. He added that the Major is selfish, corrupt, and addicted to drinking and gambling. He was insignificant as a leader, always insulting subordinates. He did not know old or young officers and was arrogant. Wow, I hope the Major has some burn cream because he just got roasted. Now you might remember a few news motos ago we mentioned the story of the man who had a pet lion in a townhouse in Phnom Penh. It was a truly strange but interesting story. So much so that there were 7 different news articles on the subject over a 2-week period. This week, the lion, whose name translates as Dark Mind, was seen running loose in a street in Phnom Penh. A video shot by a social media user showed the lion walking down Street 306, which is the location of the villa to which the lion was returned. Back in June, Dark Mind had been relocated to Phnom Tamau Wildlife Centre by the NGO Wildlife Alliance. The owner signed a contract, among other conditions, promising to meet the conditions related to the techniques that are appropriate and the technical standards of the living environment for the lion and safety. The owner will assume the risks to himself and be responsible. But it appears that the lion is not being kept safely and is able to leave the villa and wander the streets of Phnom Penh at will. Case closed, right? No. The owner alleged that one of his employees who was recently sacked had colluded with current workers and secretly let the lion out so that he could blackmail the Lion King for money. I'll leave the link to the story, but I still can't work out how the employee was going to do the blackmail and get the money from the owner. It also seemed a little bit too easy to release the lion. Hopefully this will show that the lion belongs where it can be looked after by professionals and not in a Phnom Penh townhouse. Have you ever wanted to buy a townhouse or property in Cambodia to house your pet lion? Well, it seems there are several ways you can. One way is to become a Cambodian citizen, and in the last 12 months, over 500 Chinese and Taiwanese nationals have done exactly this, and they account for about 83% of new citizens. They all received their citizenship via the investment route, also known as honorary citizenship, which requires the applicant to invest a sum of at least 1.25 billion real, which is around 300,000 US, in Cambodia. This enables applicants to bypass the required 7-year residence in Cambodia that is normally required for citizenship to be granted. If you're interested in taking this path, you'll also need to be at least 18 years of age, have a current and valid passport, have a current valid visa for entry into Cambodia, be in good health, and be of sound mind. It begs the question of how they test the sound mind part, because these people would most likely fail that test. Today's WWTT, or What Were They Thinking, comes from Takeo province, where 385 people were arrested for gathering in defiance of the current ban on gatherings of more than 15 people. Nearly 400 people were gathered for a meeting with Unicity, They're an organisation that sells nutritional products that has been accused in the past of being an MLM, which is a multi-level marketing scheme. I guess it's kind of like a pyramid scheme. 2 Unicity staff were recently arrested in Kampong Speu province for attempting to persuade people to borrow money to buy into the program. When the number that's allowed for gatherings is 15, I really don't understand how they thought they would get away with such a large gathering, big enough to be seen from outer space. Not to worry, let's move on to some interesting percentage updates. Construction of the Chao Am Chao flyover and underpass is now at more than 75% complete after its groundbreaking ceremony in 2018. Kep Provincial Administration announced on Friday that the Ko Tonsei tourist port, which costs around $1.2 million, is scheduled to be 100% complete by the end of this year. The port, which is supposed to be shaped like a crab, and that's a bit of a stretch if you've seen the aerial photos, will serve as Rabbit Island. It extends about 306 metres from the mainland into the ocean and is about 68 metres wide with a total area of more than 4,000 square metres. The Governor of Battambang Province announced that the Salataorn Dam is now 90% complete and will be fully operational by the end of this year. Let's move on to the all-important vaccination percentages. From the 10th of February to the 16th of August this year, Cambodia has administered vaccines to over 9 million people nationwide. That's 90% of the initial target, which was 10 million adults to be vaccinated to achieve the herd immunity. This target has since been revised, and the intention is now to inoculate 80% of the entire population, and that will include children aged 12 to 17 years. More than 240,000 people who initially received 2 doses of Sinovac have also been given a third booster of AstraZeneca. The rollout of the booster dose is widened daily to include more areas and more categories of people as they're classified as frontline workers. More than 602,000 people have been given the Johnson & Johnson one-shot vaccine. That's more than 60% of the vaccines received from the United States already administered. Several provinces which border Thailand have already fully vaccinated all members of the eligible population, and administration of booster doses is now in progress. The campaign to vaccinate adolescents is also in progress in these areas. Here are some truly amazing facts. Cambodia has one of the highest percentages of COVID-19 vaccination among its adult population in the Western Pacific region. And did you know Phnom Penh is the most vaccinated capital city in the world? That's just incredible. Cambodia is also among the top 17 countries in the world to recognise the importance of teachers by vaccinating them first. Based on available data, vaccine hesitancy in Cambodia is also relatively low compared to other countries. Cambodia's aggressive vaccination record is starting to show results. And in news that is sure to interest many listeners, it is becoming increasingly likely that the kingdom will reopen ahead of neighbouring countries. Cambodia as a whole has also ranked first in terms of vaccine doses per capita globally. There is strong support in the business community for Phnom Penh to have the country's first travel bubble because of its strong vaccination rate. Let's say it again because it's wonderful. Travel bubble! But wait, if you can take it, there's even more. Cambodia has come in 4th in another global ranking. It has been voted 4th friendliest in attitudes towards foreign residents, according to a survey conducted by Expat Insider and published by Internations. What a wonderful note to end this week's News Moto on. Some absolutely fantastic statistics and rankings coming out of the kingdom this week. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us for this week's News Moto. We hope you'll join us on the weekend for our next video. Until then, you can have a look in the comments section for a list of all of the news stories that I've talked about in today's edition. You can look in the description and find links to other people that we follow, and also links to our social media. If you just need more Cambodia and you can't wait until the weekend, go over to Instagram and you can follow us there because we post a couple of times a day usually. Once again, thank you for being here. It is your support by watching that allows us to earn money on YouTube and in turn give that back to people in Cambodia that really need it. That's all for now, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!